Hello, it's a very lovely good evening from here in Delhi, and hope that each one of you, as always, are absolutely fine, hale, hearty, and of course, cheerful too. So, I take this particular opportunity first of all to welcome each one of you from the bottom of my heart, and at the same time, let me confess. I consider it as a sheer prerogative, as a sheer privilege, in fact, not prerogative, but sheer privilege. And privilege is because I'm able to interact with you, all the students sitting down right here in Delhi with the help of this wonderful word, what is known as technology. It's a very vibrant word, and it has made it everything possible for us to reach out to every student, as I said, wherever he is, whether he is residing even in the farthest corner of the country. So that's why the feeling which I derive happens to be all the more what we call greatly satisfying, and it's a soothing one too. So as I said, it's a sheer pleasure for me in interacting with you. So I take this opportunity once again with what we call warmness to welcome you, each one of you. And before I actually start the proceedings, let me make it absolutely clear that this particular course for which you and I have assembled down here is of course already written down over here, that is CA Final Financial Reporting new course. Correct? But before we move further, let me make it clarify again that this particular course is absolutely in English medium. So which means that this particular course we have crafted basically for the students residing in the southern states of the country, and of course on the eastern states of the country, and besides that, wherever you are residing, whether in India, in Pakistan, in Afghanistan, in Bangladesh, in Nepal, in Indonesia, wherever you are actually, we take this opportunity to welcome each one of you with great warmness. So, financial reporting, this particular course has become very, very dreaded one, and students I'm finding nowadays are absolutely in full of anxieties. They have got so many confusion. Many people are having almost a chaotic what we call attitude toward this particular subject, and many are under greater confusion because things are not very clear, and I find actually student fraternity is virtually in doldrums. So this particular session which we have conducted, to be very honest with you, exactly for the same, to erase out all your what we call hunches, all your anxieties, all your worries. This is an introductory session, no doubt about that. And in this particular session, of course, besides the contents, we'll try to analyze the course, we'll try to erase out, as I said, the worries and the hunches and what we call any sort of anxieties which you all are having. So, we are starting this particular course, no doubt about that, but at the same time, this is an introductory session, and in the introductory session, generally, we have general talkings with the student fraternity. We will talk about the course contents, we will talk about the methodology, we will try to analyze the course, because precise strategy is very, very important, really, if we really want to actually achieve our desired lines of milestones. It is very important. We cannot have a haphazard attitude actually and think that we can reach the milestone. So that is why it becomes all the more what we call necessary if you really are aspiring to cross this final frontier. So that is why you need to be in a position to analyze threadbare the intricacies of this particular course. Correct? So now we are starting the proceedings of this particular session. Of course, the first agenda on the card is that we are going to first of all take up the contents which the ICAI has released as far as your financial reporting new course is concerned. No doubt about that, this particular course has become very formidable, and I do not want to use the word dreaded, but it is nothing short of that. At the same time, it is very, very lengthy and very, very what we call, as I said, power-packed as far as what we call steady in-depthness is concerned. So a lot of penetrative analysis is required to really have a good command of the contents which the ICI have released. So as I said, it's a formidable one, it's a powerful one, it's a power-packed, so a lot of penetrative, incisive studies are required, and we on our part definitely will leave no stone unturned in coming up to your satisfaction and make the things as far as possible easy and comprehensible for each one of you. So this is the course, as you can see. So we directly now come to the point, and I'm finding actually right now this particular class is being released through three mediums, through face-to-face, or for online students, and of course those who are associated with us right now on satellite. So that is why actually I'm stopping myself before I start. I'm still finding that a lot of students are still what we call scattering. So my advice is now to actually close the doors and close the entry, because now we have to start the session. So here we go. So first of all, we are going to talk about what we call the course content, which you have already at your disposal, because ICAI now has released the what we call course contents. So even you must have had gone through those what we call courses, and you must have found that it is just not a change, rather it's a complete transformation of the course. We cannot simply call it a change. It is not a slight change. It is almost an upheaval. But at the same time, it becomes so easy to criticize the what we call ICI, but for once now I'm going to be the first one to give them tremendous amount of what we call credit. ICI this time has shown guts and courage and great boldness in what we call bringing out the sort of course which was the need of the hour, to be very, very honest with you. Because the globalization is really moving at a, I should call it what we call very fast pace, and it sometimes becomes very difficult to keep what we call abreast with the changes which are taking place with every passing moment. It was the need of the hour to put the Indian accounting standards on the cards, and ICI has taken now this bold step, courageous steps to have a complete transformation of the course. Even ICI knew that this transformation is going to bring some challenges, not only for them but for the student fraternity and all those who are associated what we call in the field of education, especially at higher level. So it's a sort of challenge. But then life is nothing if you are not going to accept the challenge. This is what I personally feel, and I'm sure each one of you would agree with me. But before we proceed, just give me 2 more minutes. And we are starting this journey, no doubt about that, but we hope that our association will continue for next 3-4 months, and during these 4 months, we on our part, as I have already told you, will leave no stone unturned in making you feel that you haven't committed any mistake by joining our course. Definitely, we shall make relentless efforts in making the course as much as satisfying, as much as it is possible, but at the same time everything will count when things will become what we call successful. So we are starting this journey today with the hope that when it reaches the culminating stages, each one of us should have a very satisfying feeling, very treasurable feeling, and each one of us should feel that this was a wonderful, wonderful experience and one of the finest journey, memorable one and treasurable one. Correct? So now we take up this particular part. First of all, this is the course content which ICI has already released. Now if you are going to analyze the course, you will find definitely many new topics, lots of new topics, and as I told you, complete transformation, complete upheaval of the course has been done. So it becomes of paramount importance to have a in-depth, closer, deep and very penetrative what we call look into the course. Then accordingly what we call we will sort out and frame out our strategy, and later on we will also talk about actually the methodology which we are going to pursue in covering the entire gamut of the course. So first part, as you can see, is accounting standards. No problem. Each one of you by now are well familiar with the position of the accounting standard which is prevailing in India right now actually, and you are well aware of the fact that there are 2 sets of accounting standards which are what we call running concurrently in India. One is existing accounting standard and another one is Indian accounting standard. As far as Indian accounting standard is concerned, now only 15, 21, 23, 25, 27 and 28 actually you are supposed to study at this particular level, because all other existing accounting standard now have been made part of group 1 and group 2. Is it clear to you or not? So you can say now at this particular level only accounting standard 15, as you know, it is related to employees benefit, and then accounting standard 21, of course, consolidation, then 23, 25 as you know, interim financial reporting, and then 27 relates to associates and joint venture, and 28 impairment. So only these accounting standards are now part of your course from the existing accounting standards. Correct? Along with that, you will have to take care of the guidance notes which the ICAI has issued. So guidance notes, what are the guidance notes? Guidance notes are nothing but this is supplementary clarification of any guideline which is encompassed in the accounting standard. For example, ICAI has released an accounting standard and later on finds that some more what we call clarification is needed, because industry and the people and those who are associated with the application of accounting standard, they are having a little bit of trouble. So sometimes ICAI actually clarifies, and in order to clarify that particular point which was given in the accounting standard, then ICAI issues guidance note. Correct? Name itself is suggesting it is guiding note. So these are the things, not very tough you can say, because accounting standard little bit of idea you already have. So at this level we are going to actually study them, no doubt, in a refined manner with great penetrativeness and with great depth. Then now we move over to this particular part. It's a very significant part, as you can see, framework for preparation and presentation of financial statement as per Ind AS. Each one of you are very well familiar with respect to the concept of the Ind AS, but when we will pick up the topic of Ind AS, definitely we are going to take it at great length, great breadth, and possibly with greatest depthness. This I can assure you, and you can really believe on my words. So, but at this particular moment, it is suffice to say that as far as framework for preparation and presentation of financial statement is concerned, you will have to study along with, as I have written, Ind AS 1. This is Ind AS 1. Ind AS 1 actually deals with presentation of financial statements. And second is 34, that is interim financial reporting. So if an entity is there and it is preparing its what we call interim report, then how it would prepare as per the provisions of, as I said, Indian accounting standards. So 34 will be applied over here. And then 7, as you know, 7, I'm talking about Ind AS. Remember one thing, all these standards which I have written with what we call red pen, these are symptomizing Indian accounting standard. AS7 deals with cash flow statements. So, as far as framework for preparation and presentation of financial statement is concerned, you will have to take care of all these standards while what we call preparing and while presenting your financial statement. We'll see actually when we will have a look over these standards that how an entity will have to keep an eye over the various provisions which have been actually released by the Ind AS body. So we shall have to take those provisions into what we call account when we prepare and especially when we present our financial statements. Then the third one is the most formidable part of accounting standard. To be very honest with you, I must confess that the greater the attention you are going to pay over here, the greater the market value each one of you will possess when you are going to move into the practical part of your life. Correct? When I say practical part of your life means once you will become CA and once you will start what we call handling the matter, whether national, domestic or international, because this particular course has been enacted and crafted by keeping an eye into the international market, because it is felt by the international body that India has got supreme talent. And I do not know whether you are aware of this or not. The ICAI is one of the formidable body in the world at this moment, and there was greater pressure from the international bodies upon India to actually enforce the Ind AS so that they can produce the accounting professional, because they have got tremendous potential, tremendous what we call human nature at the same time. That is why they are in the demand. So they have got tremendous potential, tremendous what we call expertise and tremendous knowledge. So why not you are equipping them with the what we call international provision, international practices. So that was one of the greatest cause actually why ICAI is forced to enforce and make Ind AS as part of their curriculum. So anyway, when application of Ind AS, when we'll move over to this particular topic, you can see so many Ind AS we have written. Ind AS 11, Ind AS 18, then 8, then 10, 113, 20, 114, Ind AS 101, then AS2, 16, 17, all. There are so many Ind AS, but at the same time, you need not require to worry about that. I have already told you, you are men different from boys. When I say you are a men different from boys, it means you belong to a different league. You belong to a different league. That means you are extraordinary. You are not an ordinary one. Your intelligence is unquestionable. That is why you are here facing us. You remember, you started the journey of CA along with many of your friends. But how many are there along with you right now actually who are pursuing CA final? So that itself symptomizes that you have that which can easily make a particular person different from the other ones. That is why I am saying so. So I personally feel that, and honestly speaking, just not for the sake of saying I am saying so. I have been in this trade since almost last 2 decades, almost 22 years. It's a pretty long time. It also means that actually I have seen all the contours and all the colors and all the changing times of this particular trade. Right from blackboard teaching to whiteboard teaching to the tremendous advancement in technology, and that's the reason why we are able to interact with you right down here, sitting from here in Delhi. We are able to talk to you even what we call residing, as I said, even in the farthest corner of the country. So we have been a part of a changing pattern, an evolving pattern. Why I am saying so? Because many among you do not know exactly the situation. Right now the economy is heavy. Do you know that there is nearly dearth of 5 to 10 lakh professional? Yes, I am not joking. There is still a scarcity of 5 to 10 lakh what we call potentials in the market. Real good professionals who have got tremendous expertise in the Indian accounting standard especially. So this should work as a motivating factor for you to actually give an extra eye and attention and focus and of course dedication towards NDAS. So these are very, very challenging times, and if you are able to accept this challenge, I don't see any reason why you will not have a luxurious life which you always aspired for. So sometime I have already told you it's a what we call introductory class, so it's a general chatting will also move on in between, so whereby it is my personal feel that I need to motivate you and evoke what we call a sort of feeling in you and desired level of intensity so that you can really cross the final frontiers, as I say. So yes, there are so many standard, right, what we call from 11, as we will see later on that 11 actually deals with construction contracts, and then similarly 18 we will see later on deals with revenue recognition. All these are Indias, and then under 8 actually we are going to study what we call events occurring after the date of balance sheet. Then 10 what we call events occurring, sorry, I told 8 deals with actually accounting policies. Then 10 reporting period events occurring after the reporting period, accounting standard 113 fair value method. Then 20 deals with what we call government grants. Then 114, this is a very clumsy sort of accounting standard that is known as regulatory deferral system. Regulatory deferral system, correct? So there are so many accounting standards which have been now made part of your course. Similarly 101, this is interesting standard. This standard deals with first time adoption of Ind AS statement. It means if you are an entity and you are first time you are adopting Ind AS in your what we call financial statements, so you will have to take care of this particular standard. This particular standard is going to give you some guidelines, correct? So accounting standard AS2 deals with inventory valuation. Then Ind AS 16 deals with property, plant and equipment. Then similarly 17 deals with leases. 23 deals with what we call borrowing cost. Then similarly 36 deals with impairment, and 38 deals with intangibles. 40 investment property. 105 deals with non-current asset held for sale or for discontinued operation. Then similarly we have 19 and 37. These two accounting standards are related to liabilities. These two accounting standards, and if you are going to have an analytical view, you will find that accounting standard from 2 till up to 105, all these accounting standard deals with asset side. I told it's inventory valuation, then what we call property, plant and equipment. Then we have got 17 leases, and then we have got 23 borrowing costs. 36, as I said, deals with impairment of asset, and then 38 deals with intangibles. 40 investment property. And then 105 non-current assets held by an enterprise for the purpose of sale. All these accounting standards can be classified as what we call standard, which will give you what we call some guidelines, especially for the preparation of your what we call asset side, because all these standards will influence and have an effect on your asset side. Then there are two standards which will deal with what we call liability side. One is 19. This is what we call employees benefit. Earlier we talked about AS15. AS15 means existing accounting standard, no doubt about that. It also deals with employee benefits. And here it also deals with, this is Ind AS 19, deals with employee benefits. Then 37 deals with what we call your contingent liabilities, provisions, and contingent asset. And then 12 and 21, these two standards are not directly associated, but they can have indirect effect on the preparation of the financial statement. AS12 will deal with accounting for taxes, if you remember, and then similarly AS21, actually it has got relation with what we call effects of changes in foreign exchange rates. So these two standards you will have to take care of also, even though they are not going to have a direct bearing, but indirectly they are going to influence your preparation of financial statements. Then we have got accounting standard 24, 33 and 108. These standards, accounting standard 24 and accounting standard, as I said, what we call 33 and 108, actually these standards are related towards to the disclosures. We will see actually 24 has got a relation with related parties. Similarly, accounting standard 33 has got earnings per share, and then accounting standard 108 deals with segment reporting. Now it is known as operating segments. So these three accounting standards, last three, 24 related party, 33 earning per share, and 108 operating segment, all these are related to disclosure aspects of the balance sheet. Is it clear to you or not? Then similarly, I have already told you 12 and 21, they impact the financial statement, although not directly but indirectly. Then 19 and 37 can be categorized as accounting standard related to liability side, that is benefits, employee benefits, and 37 contingent liabilities, contingent assets, and provisions. Then we were talking about accounting standard 11 and 18, we can say, because these standard actually will provide us some guidelines with respect to recognition of revenue. AS 11 deals with construction contract. During your earlier phases of education, you have already gone through accounting standard AS 7. I'm talking about AS 7, existing accounting standard. It also used to deal with construction contracts, correct? Whereby you used to study that how a construction revenue will have to be recognized. Correct? You must have gone through your proportionate completion method and completion method for the recognition of the revenue. So similarly here, actually, these two accounting standards will give you some sort of guidelines while preparing the financial statement, how the revenue should be recognized, or should it be recognized or not recognized, or if it has been recognized, then how it will have to be de-recognized. So these are the rules and regulations and the provisions which we shall have to study. So we can say that accounting standard 11 and 18 deals with revenue recognition. In fact, 18 deals with purely for recognition of revenue. And if you remember earlier, you studied accounting standard 9, which used to deal with recognition of revenue. So now its corresponding Indian accounting standard, you can say, is AS 18. Then similarly, accounting standard 8, as I said, actually, accounting standard 8 deals with policies, accounting policies, changes in accounting estimates, and changes in what we call accounting policies, correct? Then we are going to study accounting standard AS 10. As I said, it deals with events occurring after the reporting period. Earlier, you used to study what we call accounting standard AS 5, if you remember, where you used to study what we call earlier you used to study accounting standard AS4, events occurring after the date of balance sheet. Now the corresponding Ind AS of AS4 has become AS10. Now the name is slightly changed. Now the name will be events occurring after the reporting period instead of after the balance sheet. Is it clear to you? Some slight changes have been made. Of course, some new guidelines have been incorporated. So that is the reason I am saying so, that lots of patience, lots of hard work, lots of dedication, and most significantly, a never say die attitude is needed to really cross the frontiers. But once you are able to do that, then I time and again and so often during this particular what we call duration of session, I have already told you, you can expect a wonderful, wonderful life for you, provided you are able to what we call show the sort of zeal and enthusiasm which I expect from the men of stature, and somewhere inside my heart I personally believe that you possess that in abundant quantity. Correct? Yes, I am not doing flattery, but I personally feel, and honestly speaking, whenever I take CA final course, I generally think that I'm simply what we call going to share my experiences with you. That is the only thing, because as far as things stand, we are on same platform now. You have the same accounting knowledge which I have. Only thing is that through my experience I will be able to give you some inputs into what we call this particular structuring of the course. And I personally feel that I will definitely make you learn something, but I'm also ready to learn many new things from the students. So that should be the attitude of the teacher and a good faculty. That's where I have kept my heart very widely opened, and I don't have any hesitation in what we call taking up something new, even from the student fraternity. And there is lots of learning, and I'm really thankful to all those students who have shown tremendous amount of patronage. They have given me a lot of affection, love. I'm really deeply thankful to each one of you, because I personally feel that I would not have had attained the position where I am in right now. It is just due to your love, affection, loyalty, or patronage. I pray to God that this patronage on your part shall continue forever. Correct? Now, we were talking about the application of the accounting standards. So you can see actually lots of theoretical aspects are there, so you simply can't help it and you simply cannot escape it. You will have to. Correct? Now we move over to a most significant, formidable part, consolidated and separate financial statement. Now, honestly speaking, I am afraid to say so that since a complete upheaval has been done, earlier this was very easy, but this has become very tedious, very complicated too, and sometimes even it becomes very difficult to distinguish whether consolidation is required or not. So lots of controversies are there, and lots of theories are there, and lots of viewpoints right now are there. So anyway, but you need not require to worry on that count. And I have already told you, we on our part will definitely do our level best effort to make the things as much understandable and comprehensible as it is possible. So, consolidated and separate financial statements you will have to study. And you know the meaning of consolidation. You know that holding company and subsidiary company, they prepare their consolidated accounts. Correct? And sometimes separate financial statements are required. So separate financial statement means normally I prepare my financial statement, but in spite of that I will prepare my financial statement, but besides that some separate financial statements are required. And this happens when I have a joint arrangement or when I have a ventureship with somebody. So in those what we call circumstances, I may have to actually prepare separate financial statement. Separate financial statement means you will prepare your normal financial statement as you do. Besides that, you will prepare some financial statement also reflecting what we call your interest in the what we call other entities. So consolidated and separate financial statement, and these are the accounting standard which will govern, these are the Indian accounting standard which will govern the what we call entire functioning, entire accounting procedural aspects of these accounting standard. 110, of course, it relates to consolidation, and this there is the biggest change. If you will give me the liberty to pick up the most important segment of the entire new course, I will pick up accounting standard 110, and this standard, correct, has taken almost the entire course by storm, if you allow me to use this phrase. So this is a big change, upheaval, complete transformation, as I said. So we have to study this particular standard on a very what we call high footing, and when I say high footing, means with greater caution and greater what we call dedication, because this is the chapter which will command highest number of marks as far as examination is concerned. In fact, under consolidation, you will also have a look over the ventureship, you will also have a look over the joint arrangement, the association. So accounting standard Ind AS 27 is also there, then 28 is also there, 111, as I said, joint joint arrangements. Then 112, it deals with disclosures of your arrangement, correct? So all these standards you will have to study and study very hard, and this is the most significant practical part of your course. Then there are some standards which have been developed due to two reasons. One, these industries were rising, but there was not a proper standard so far. For example, there was no proper accounting standard for the agricultural segment so far, or should I call it hitherto. Till up to this particular point of time, there was no accounting standard, so I felt the need, so they have come out with Ind AS 41, deals with agriculture, correct? Similarly, you know, insurance sector is growing by leaps and bounds now, and accounting standard 104 exactly has been developed and framed by keeping an eye into what we call governing the aspects of the affairs of the insurance companies. So accounting standard 41, as I said, deals with agriculture, and similarly 104 deals with insurance contracts, and then under 106 we are going to study something which we are not very familiar with. For example, we will take into account the exploration and evaluation of minerals. Now this is something you might feel, what sort of accounting standard is this? But anyway, as you know that Ind AS are based upon the what we call international financial reporting standards and international accounting standards. Ind AS is nothing but this is a what we call modified form of international accounting standard and international financial reporting standards. So international body and international practices feel that there must be some standard even for such activities. So entities which are engaged in, as I said, exploration and what we call exploration and extraction of mineral wealth. So in order to evaluate that, a standard was needed, and that is why accounting standard 106 has been now enacted, correct? Now, you must have gone through actually in your earlier phases of education, that is group 1 and group 2, you must have studied amalgamation, internal reconstruction and so on. And it used to be your one of the favorite what we call chapter. An accounting standard AS 14 used to govern the accounting of amalgamations. But now, I am time and again and so often during this particular what we call session, I have told you that complete comprehensive big upheaval has taken place. So business combinations, now amalgamation is no more like the one which you used to actually do. There is a complete transformation of accounting procedures now, and you will learn some new what we call tricks, tips and accounting aspects. But the most important thing is that sometimes it becomes very difficult to know whether we have to do the accounting as per AS3 or not. So that is the most tricky point in this chapter. So complete transformation, as I said, has taken place. So you can't help it. But at the same time, good thing about is that whatever is new, that looks very charming, isn't it or not? We are so fond of something new. Even during last 22 years, we have become accustomed to teach a particular way of what we call chapter in a particular way of what we call style. So this has given us what we call new challenges, new avenues, and definitely, so I personally feel that this should also work as a motivating factor, not only to the student, but also to the teachers, whosoever are associated in this line of trade. Correct? 103, business combination. This particular Ind AS given. It's a very long, what we call standard. It has given different sort of guidelines, and this is very, very important, both from your examination angle and also from your practical angle. That means when you are going to become CA, and later on when you are going to handle the matters in your practical life, you need to have a very deep, penetrative, what we call knowledge and expertise as far as this particular accounting standard is concerned. Correct? So far so good. So far chapter number 4 and 6, you can see these are practical chapters. I personally hope that as far as first examination is concerned, you will have some easy questions, because no one has got right now any source of material except the ICAI study material. So that is also a good thing. That means limited books are available, limited resources available, so limited focus you need to have, but you need to have a very deep focus. And moreover, I always personally feel that there is no point in digging wide. There is always better to dig what we call deep, then only we can hope for water. isn't it? That is fruits of water. So now we move over to accounting and reporting of financial instruments. This particular chapter you will find is governed by, this particular chapter is governed by Ind AS 109. Ind AS 109 provides the definitions of the financial instruments, and then Ind AS 107 talks about the disclosure aspects of the financial instruments, and then there is Ind AS 32. Ind AS 32 which provides what we call guidelines with respect to the presentation of the financial reporting. So this is also a very, very significant part of your course. So these three are your practical part, you can say this way round, from where you can expect very high length question, but I will avoid using the word advanced level question because I don't think as far as first 2-3 sessions of the examinations will command any high length or high voltage question. Correct? They will definitely give this benefit to the student that it's a new course, things are not very clear. Correct? There is a lot of ambiguity. So I'm very sure that ICI will look into all these things before they are going to what we call prepare the examination paper. Then share-based payment. This particular chapter is governed by IFRS 2. IFRS 2. So IFRS 2 also means Ind AS 102. Correct? So such Indian accounting standard which are based upon IFRS, they will carry a series of 100. Anyway, we will talk about that when we will pick up what we call lecture on accounting standard. But so far right now we are simply discussing and dissecting the what we call course of the CA. Analysis of financial statement. Now this is a good chapter. Now these are smaller chapters, smaller practical chapter you can say from here on. All these chapter, analysis of financial statements. This particular chapter will equip you in finding flaws in the financial statements of a company, because after all you all are going to become the auditors. So you need to keep a very sharp eye to know, and sharp intelligence too, to pick up the holes in the financial statement in case if there are any. Is it clear to you? So this particular chapter will tell you how to analyze, dissect and interpret the financial statements. So we will find that whenever financial statements of a company is prepared, sometime it carries lots of defects or lots of what we call, you can say, shortages as far as parameters of laws or standards are concerned. So what are those defects? What are those flaws? What are those mistakes, errors? So you should be in a position to analyze them. That is exactly the intention of this particular chapter. Then accounting for carbon credits. It is newly added chapter. Of course, almost everything is new. Carbon credits. You must have heard nowadays actually global warming, global degradation of environment, and lot of even UNO has constituted a committee on the what we call safeguarding of environment. But problem is that you simply can't help it. We all are human beings, our needs are rising. Industries, in spite of our best efforts, they are growing. You simply can't stop what we call industries being what we call established. But only thing is that what we can do is that we can do at least some efforts and make the industrialists and the businesses realize that they have got what we call some responsibility to not to emit, we call it greenhouse gases. It means actually poisonous gases. Correct? So there are two ways. One, you can what we call simply force them through penalties or through high amount of what we call sternity. But this particular way is not a very good thing, because it will deter, it will dissuade the industrialist to what we call take up the activities. Now if industries will not be established, it will be a problem too. So we cannot take stern action. So best way is to provide them with some incentives so that they work on that idea. So we will study under carbon credits that industries are being given some incentive, that you take care of the fact that you should not release carbon dioxide and poisonous gases and greenhouse gases. In many countries of the world actually, some limit has been imposed. For example, you can say in America there is 1 ton carbon dioxide can be released by the industries. Now, under this particular chapter, what we are going to study, suppose you are an industry and you are being allowed by the government that you can emit only this much of what we call gases, poisonous gases, and carbon dioxide, whatever you call it. Correct? I'm not very well familiar with scientific term, to be very honest with you. So CO2, I remember in class 9th or 10th we used to study. So carbon dioxide or poisonous gases or greenhouse gases. If you will release lesser than your what we call allotted quota, your allotted quota was 1000 tons or 1 tons, whatever it may be. And if you release lesser than that, then the government will give you a financial instrument. Yes, a financial instrument. And that financial instrument will be given some credits because you have taken care of the fact that you released what we call less poisonous gases into the environment. So government is now giving you some incentive. Government is giving you points. It is similar to the points which you normally earn in your various what we call reward as a reward system through your transactions in a startup and all. So if you are able to earn some points, you can get those points encashed for some what we call benefits or cash or whatever it is. So this is a way to simply put some sort of brakes on the industry to not to release what we call poisonous gases, greenhouse gases or carbon dioxide as I call it. Is it clear to you or not? This is chapter very important because in international what we call practices, you'll find that carbon dioxide slowly but steadily it is growing and growing almost by a big heap. Then accounting for e-commerce, lesser I would say it is better because I heard the word computer when I passed out graduation and after 4 years of that. I'm not able to remember whether in 1989 or 90 I passed out as a graduate, and after 4 years of that I heard the word computer first time. So you can simply understand what sort of knowledge. So this is one area where I simply cannot compete with the present generation and younger and brighter people like you. You have far greater knowledge than I as far as this particular what we call segment is concerned. But it is nice to see, correct? It is very nice to see that ICI has introduced this chapter because now almost everything is being done what we call through e-commerce. The more we become equipped with it, the better it would be for us. Definitely this particular chapter will tell you something new facets of the accounting. So it was the need of the hour also that a student fraternity should be made acquainted with the latest what we call developments, technological developments, and how that particular technology is being used in the accounting arena. So not only you, even I am going to learn many things out of this chapter. I have already accepted that I am going to learn many things. I am going to ask something, and moreover nowadays even people of my generation do not know, to be very honest with you, how to actually run this mobile properly. So often we actually then fall upon the knowledge of children and our own children actually. So that's a very good thing, and there is nothing better when a teacher learns from the student fraternity. There is another what we call topic known as integrated reporting. Again, due to the international practices, this particular topic has been introduced. Under integrated reporting, industries are asked to integrate your objectives because generally an entity has a short-term objective, a medium-term objective, and a long-term objective. So by taking into account all these objectives, you should prepare your financial reporting. And we will study under it horizontal reporting, vertical integrated reporting, but more or less it's a theoretical chapter, to be very honest with you, not a tough one at all. Then under corporate social reporting, now this is a segment which is growing by leaps and bounds. The reason being is that now many investors are preferring in fact those industries and those entities who are showing some concern for the society. If you will, I do not know whether you have gone through any financial report of Tata or Infosys or Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. Now, if you will ever get a chance, try to have a look over there. So these entities are now preparing what we call separate financial statement reflecting what we call their contribution and concern for the society also. So corporate social reporting, under that actually you will be you will be made equipped with the fact that how an entity, when it prepares its financial statement, should also report that what it has done for the society on the whole. Correct? Then human resource reporting. It was always felt that there is no better an asset than the humans. But unfortunately, we have already, right from our class 11th, have studied that human resources cannot be monetized, so they cannot be expressed as monetary item, and therefore they will be excluded from the accounting. That was always felt. But each one of you know actually that human assets are the best assets. Howsoever modified version, howsoever what we call finest asset might be there, but it cannot operate without the human intelligence. So quite obviously, it was felt that there must be human resource accounting. An entity must reflect that what human wealth it possesses, what it is doing for its what we call own human workforce. And there are many entities in India, Infosys, Tata, Reliance, and Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. They have started actually producing separate statements on human resource reporting. And remember one thing, many investors nowadays are forcing the entities that you should go for human resource reporting. Indirectly, as I said, even entities are realizing that investors are preferring such industries and such entities which are supplementing their financial statement with such what we call statements like HR statement, corporate social reporting statement, integrated reporting statement. So even the concern and the approach of the investor is changing day by day, and that is pressurizing the what we call industries and the entities to go for what we call these emerging trends of accounting. These are emerging trends of the accounting, is still under developmental phases. Of course, there is no law right now in India. There is neither any accounting standard for the same, neither there is any sort of force, but there is disguised force in the sense, as I said, that in the capital market, the investors, they are putting up the force on the entities. And then finally, value-added statement. So value-added statement, each one of you are aware of, that so far the accounting which we generally do, that speaks about only net profit or net loss of the entity. It doesn't speaks about what our entity has done for the humans, how we have actually contributed to the government, how we have contributed to the employees, and how our entity actually has taken care of all those who have invested their high-earned money into our what we call concern. So value-added statement, we will see actually this is a statement whereby an entity will release what we call its contributions towards all these segments. The entity will tell we have earned this much of profit and how that particular profit has been now allocated among what we call all these segment employees, directors, lenders, financiers, and how much profit has been kept by entity itself. So as far as your course content is concerned, you have already seen. Now I need not require to elaborate further. It's heavy, it's long, it requires terrific approach, terrific zeal, terrific enthusiasm, and a never say die attitude if you really want to reach your aspired dreams. I sincerely believe that you have that. It is very important to realize that you have that. That means this belief you must carry, and everything is possible in this human world. Good thing about is that it is new, and I have already told you there is always a greater curiosity for something which is new. There is always greater charmness for something which is new. Correct? And people, men of stature, I call it, men of stature always like to have the challenges at their disposal because they know that they are fit to overcome them. You belong to those league. You can take my words on it. I sincerely hope that each one of you have that, and you all are intelligent enough to have to carve out a niche for yourself in this otherwise competitive world. So it's a pretty long course. It will require terrific efforts from both the sides, no doubt about said. If I'm going to say that I need not require to put any effort, that will be the biggest mistake. Perhaps greater efforts need to be from my side, and I would love you to actually give a supporting role to that. And then definitely I'm not going to elaborate much now towards the study material. Right now the best study material is the module of the ICAI. That is the best and perhaps the only module right now available. However, at the same time, we are going to send you our own what we call question banks and study bank and study kits also. So only two things are required as far as material is concerned. One, ICI material, and second, R material. Now you are matured enough to understand that what you have to study. You are not kids, because so that doesn't look nice on my part to tell you that you have to study that, you have to study that, because I have to realize that we both are more or less now on the same platform. So all I need from your side, as I said, is a supporting role, but a very, very honest role. Honest means sometime it becomes very difficult to be honest to oneself. You need to question yourself whether you have justified with the parameters of this particular course or not. So if we are going to actually do a correct introspection of R, and it is my personal belief, if we can spare 5 minutes of internal introspection, half the problems of the world would not have arisen. So that's all I need of you actually. That's all. That's I said, just little bit of honesty to oneself. In fact, high amount of honesty to yourself, and never say die attitude. These are the two pillars. These are the two strengths which you need to carry from here on. And I'm very sure when you and I are going to meet after 2 years, I will be meeting you as a professional, and I will be sitting in your office. Hope that you will offer me a cup of coffee at that time. So that's all. In this particular session, nothing more to say. To be very honest with you, I need not require to tell you that we are going to conduct test or something like that. That looks good when we give what we call introductory session in group 1 or group 2. Now you are in CA final. We are here to analyze the intricacies of the course. But only last thing is that what I need of you. Of course, I have already told you as far as study material is concerned, that will be our book and ICI book. Of course, you will have to refer. You need not require to hunt for any other material, and good thing is that there is no other material in the market. So this is a long course. Patience is required from both the sides. We on our side will see to it that you don't have to put up much what we call effort, neither you need to be made sweated out, but only thing is that supplementary role is needed on your part and supporting role is needed on your part. I will see to it that each one of you will cross the final frontier and reach the hallowed precincts of success. Correct? So on such note, I finish up this particular session. Hope that this particular lecture must have had given you some insights into this otherwise very, very chaotic sort of what we call, as I say, course contents. But don't let it escape out of your memory. It's a new, and sometime new gives us an opportunity to carve out a distinguished name for ourselves. So that's all for the day, and a lovely thanks to each one of you. And it's time to say goodbye, good night, and Shabbat Khair and Shubratri from here in Delhi.